Better keep on moving, dueling Dalton, till your shadow sets you free. If you're fast, and if you're lucky, you may never see that hanging tree. Howdy, I'm Chandler O'Quinn. Welcome to Chandler's Travels. In this episode, we're talking about the Dalton gang, their last ride here in Menard County. Hope you'll enjoy it. So I am once again here at Fort McCavett State Historic Site in Menard County, Texas, to tell another story from Menard County. This story takes place in an area that is the only place you can actually see it is right on the freeway, so it wouldn't be safe for me to stand there and do all of my historical hijinks. So I've stolen away here and done another video showcasing the beautiful backdrop of this historic site to kind of tell the story that happened in the same county. So how did this happen? The last of the Dalton gang being caught here in Menard County. It begins with an outbreak of cattle rustling in 1895. And the local law enforcement wasn't able to do anything about it. And the cattlemen in the area were pretty upset that their cattle were being taken. The ranches are so spread out that they wouldn't know that they've been taken for days or weeks. And by the time they found out about it, the rustlers had taken those herds 2 or 3 counties over and sold them for a profit. So the cattlemen decide that they need one of their own as a sheriff, and they choose John L. Jones. He was a cattleman in Kimble County, and he becomes Kimble County Sheriff. And he does a lot of hard work to rein in all of the cattle rustling that's happening in this area. In January of 1897, there was a Scottish man named Patterson. He had over 100 herd that were taken from him, and Sheriff Jones and a posse were able to track them down to a ranch on the San Saba River just south of Brady. That ranch was operated by a man named Mr. Short. Mr. Short purchased all of these cattle, he thought legitimately, from a man from San Saba called Jim Crane, and then 2 of his associates who were named Johnson and Underwood. And so he purchased all this cattle only to find out that he had actually purchased stolen cattle. So Mr. Short made a deal with Mr. Patterson to keep the cattle. Mr. Short would keep the cattle, but he would give all of the money plus 75 cents a head to Mr. Patterson. So I hope Mr. Short liked beef because he got a lot of it and he paid a lot for it. This is all in January of 1897. Early part of February, Sheriff Jones hears that Jim Crane, Johnson, and Underwood are back in town. So he organizes a posse to figure out what their next target is going to be. And he stops at the Gardner Ranch and finds that there's a herd that's been taken. I'm not quite sure if they know at this point yet or not, but they're about to find out that the men known as Johnson and Underwood are not Johnson and Underwood. They are actually Jim and Jord Knight. They are the last remaining gang members of the Dalton gang. If you don't know what the Dalton gang is, I would point you to some excellent historians that have done some work on the Doolin Dalton gang. Glenn Fry, Don Henley, they did, it's really more musical if you think about it. It's the Eagles. If you've ever heard the album Desperado, that's about the Doolin Dalton gang. So that's why I'm so excited about this, because Desperado is one of my favorite albums of all time. Now, to say that Jim and Jord Knight are members of the Dalton gang is kind of like saying that Linda McCartney was a member of the Beatles. So the Doolin Dalton gang, who was contemporaries with Jesse James, robbing trains and that sort of banks and all sorts of things, stagecoaches. They are most renowned for the Coffeyville, Kansas raid in 1892. The only brother of the Doolin Dalton gang to make it out alive was Bill Dalton. Bill Dalton formed another gang here in Texas. That gang had Jim and Jord Knight. They robbed a bank in Longview, Texas. Bill Dalton did not escape from that raid, but Jim and Jord Knight did. And so now they're here running around with this local guy named Jim Crane, rustling cattle. So again, whether Sheriff Jones knows exactly about this or not, it's going to come out pretty soon that the last members of the Dalton gang are among the cattle rustlers in the area. So February 6th, 1897, Sheriff Jones, he has a posse. They track down some stolen cattle to the R.R. Allen Ranch on West Bear Creek. And there they first find I guess it would be a foreman of the ranch. They think he's one of the rustlers, so they throw down on him, and he's actually, hey, no, I'm really glad you're here. There's a whole bunch of bad guys down there. And this foreman is then able to take Jones and his posse up to a hill overlooking the camp of Jim Crane and Jim and Jord Knight. And they stay the night there, and then we'll see what happens in the morning. So I am here at West Bear Creek. This is somewhere around here is where the remnants of the Dalton gang, Jim and Jord Knight and Jim Crane, made their camp, and Sheriff Jones and his posse somewhere on one of these hills, maybe. I know it's West Bear Creek. I know this is West Bear Creek, but other than that, I don't know exactly where the R.R. Allen Ranch was or anything like that. But anyway, that's the body of water. This is approximately the area where the Dalton gang, the last remnants of the Dalton gang, met their end. Just before daybreak, February 7th, 1897, the posse make their way into the camp of the cattle rustlers. There are 4 men. So Jim and Jord Knight, Jim Crane, a 4th guy, and a dog. As they get into the camp, the dog wakes up and starts yapping and barking. The dog actually starts attacking one of the deputies, Deputy Lotta. Lotta is able to get the dog out of the way, and at that time is when Jord Knight crawls, stumbles out of his bedroll, fires a couple of shots at Lotta, turns, and starts running away. Lotta pursues Jord Knight and fires one shot, hits Jord Knight in the back of the head. He's down. Then Jim Crane, he starts firing at Deputy Taylor, and Deputy Taylor fires back, and it's the second or third shot, and that kills Jim Crane. The fourth guy, he jumps out of his bedroll with no gun, does not fire at anyone, but has no pants on and has no shoes on, and just starts running. We'll catch up with him later. Jim Knight is shot 3 or 4 times. He's shot, I think, in both hips and his arm, and he breaks his leg, and he cries for mercy, and they capture him and take him in alive. The fourth guy, he wasn't even part of the rustling. He was a cook that they hired right after they rustled all this cattle. I believe his name was Pettigrew. He was found 2 days later, or maybe the next morning. He had run 20 miles to Fort Tarrant, all blisters and all sorts, legs all scraped up and everything, and no charges were ever filed against him because he was just a cook. Jim Knight, he gets 7 years for cattle rustling. They then get him for the Longview, the Dalton bank robbery in Longview. They give him life in prison for that. He escapes prison. He goes to Carlsbad, New Mexico. He holds up a train there. He's caught, goes back into the penitentiary for 30 years. And then in the 1920s, Governor Maul Ferguson, pardons him. The one thing that everyone has a question about is the money. There was supposed to be a lard can that was filled with cash that was buried in that camp. Mr. Pettigrew spent his whole life digging through the dirt trying to find in that area where that lard can was filled with cash. He never found it. So if you're keeping track at home, that means that somewhere in Menard County, there's a silver mine and there's a lard can filled with 1890s cash. Who knows how much that has appreciated by now. So once again, I'm in a money hungry mood. I might be staying here for a while trying to track down all this silver and cash. If I don't see you for a while, that's what I'm doing. Treasure hunting out here in glorious West Texas. I think that's it. I think that covers this little bit of Old West history that took place here in Menard County. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel and this Old West guy who's trying to find silver and cash here in Menard. Until next time, vaya con Dios. Silver and cash. Silver. It's got to be around here someplace. No, not there.